Hello everyone and welcome to Lime Rock Park for a Porsche Flat 6 round, which will be round 6 out of 8 of this Porsche Flat 6 CFEG Championship. The Drivers' Championship after last round has had a bit of a shake-up because, as you can see, we now have a new leader at the top of the board, who is Thomas Wach. And Thomas Wach, of course, was not leading for the last round. It was Mihai Nitzio, who actually missed the round due to, which is rather funny, as he said, falling asleep before the race. So he missed it, which is a disappointing way to lose the lead of the championship. But to be honest, it's a story. It's certainly something I haven't heard of happening before. But anyway. So it's Thomas Wach leading the championship at the moment, followed by Tiziano Urbanati, Daniele Vitamari, Nuno Miguel Abreu, who's been by far the quickest driver of the last two rounds, from what I've seen. Although he missed a round earlier in the championship, so he's down on points to some of the people in front of him. And then it's Steve Serpent, Lucas Kravtsuk, Marek Sieslak, Anita Kelly, and Mark Robinson. Now, if we look at, well, those are the top five anyway. If we look at the Teams Championship now, we still have RSI Kapasek at the top of the order. However, Alessio Filito cannot make this round, so they will only have their hopes resting on Daniele Vitamari, whereas Marabia Rebellion have both Nuno Miguel Abreu and Jorge Alves racing. So they will certainly be the favourites in terms of the drivers' teams championship in this round. Now, without further ado, let's get to the circuit and start watching some racing. We do have a plug-in today, so that's good. Let's scroll through this and see who's on track. Very short circuit today, actually. You can see in the bottom right, as Urbanati is going to head out for a run. You can see on the bottom right hand of the screen that, or indeed the top left, that the fastest lap so far in the session is a 49.4, and I believe that these guys can go even quicker than that. I've seen quicker times in practice. So, to be honest, this is going to be a very, very short track, and that means there's going to be a lot of opportunities to set laps, and there's going to be a lot of falling times, I expect, and probably a lot of traffic in the race as well. So definitely a lot of opportunity for things to go wrong, a lot of opportunities for the order to change at this Lime Rock Park. And look at the nature of the circuit as well. You just saw Tiziano Urbanati and also one of the Rebellion cars in the background getting some real air over one of the bumps there. This is a frightening circuit. Let's watch it as Urbanati goes round on this lap. So into turn 1, it's double apexed, and he's got over the grass slightly. He's got a bit of traffic as well, so that's not going to help him. Turn 2 is a left-hander, possibly one of the overtaking opportunities on the track, but not helped by the fact that turn 3 is a right-hander. Now through a little squiggly straight and up a little crest, and over the top of a crest you get some real air there. In fact, all of these corners here are right-handers, except for turn 2, which is a left-hander. So it's almost an oval, really, separated by one left-hand corner. And really, this is just a it's like a bucking bronco ride, really. This track just trying to throw you off with its fast corners and grass on either side, elevation changes galore. Yeah, this is going to be a very, very tricky one. Now we're watching Daniele Vitamari. Vitamari is second in the session at the moment, behind Tiziano Urbanati, but only by 1/10. And, well, actually, on a track this short, 1/10 is pretty disappointing. He'll be certainly hoping to catch up. But of course, the difficulty with a track like this is because it is so short. It means that it takes a very short amount of time to encounter a slower car ahead if you are going quickly. And if I quickly get up a calculator, the track is about 50 seconds long, and 50 divided by 15 is 3.333 reoccurring, which means that if you were standing at the side of the circuit as Vidimari goes to the top of the order by 0.003 seconds, and all cars were spaced evenly on the track, a car would pass you every 3.3 seconds, which just shows how cramped this track is going to be, how crowded it'll be. And that means that traffic is certainly going to be a factor, as Clopano's been into the wall there, in both practice, qualifying and the race. Of course, practice is over. We're now in qualifying, a 30-minute qualifying session, although we are about 8 minutes in as Vidimari runs over the grass slightly and now backs out. Is Urbanati back on a lap? Well, he's on track nonetheless. Of course, his fastest lap so far is just 0.003 of a second, 0.003 of a second off the top. So he is hoping to go quicker, and really he doesn't need to go much quicker to put himself at the top. He does go quicker now. A 49.323 puts him at the... Oh, and he's gone off. Well, it doesn't matter too much because he's put himself at the top of the order anyway. 0.149 ahead of Daniele Vidimari in second. Clopano, you can see by the blue flag, is not on a lap at the moment, but he will be about to go onto a lap as the Rebellion car behind him goes into the barrier. And Clopano goes onto a lap now. He is in 4th position so far. He's just been demoted by Michał Nizio, who might well be leading the championship now if he hadn't missed last round due to falling asleep, I believe. So, Clopano currently running in 4th position, and just rounding the difficult corners of the Lime Rock Park circuit. He hasn't actually been in the last couple of rounds of the championship. In fact, I'm looking through the championship table now just to check if he has been in it before. No, this is his first round of the championship. So Clopano is brand new to this championship, joining in round 6. And I suppose that means he's got nothing to lose, really. He hasn't got the... he's not fighting for the championship, and he's not really too bothered about points. He just wants to go for it for the individual race, I suppose. And that is always a very good way to go about it. So we're almost 10 minutes into this qualifying session. Whoa, that is huge air from Alexis Clopano there. Massive air. And still the order is Urbanati, Vidimari, Nizio, Clopano, Wach, Lee, Raveda, Robinson, Gill, Alves, Serpent, Donaldson, Meshkov, Davison, Blackmore and Abreu. But Abreu, of course, is yet to set a lap. And I'm sure that when he does set a lap, it'll probably be a blitzer. It's very difficult to know where to look in this session, of course, because we only really get to see the cars on the track for 50 seconds each lap as Clopano spins it. And that means there's no real sector times to go by, and really it's just... Ooh, Stan Lee's going off as well. That's in the wall. One thing I did notice about this is that if you go into the wall on the inside of the track there, you the tyre barrier actually deforms when you hit it, which I've never seen before on R Factor 2, and I'm very, very pleased that that's the case. Also, I'm just going to... Whoa, Urbanati's getting very, very sideways, and that's in the wall. He's abandoned that run. I'm just going to escape quickly and then go back into race, because I saw that there was a driver who was sort of yellow mood, if you know what that means. That's the state that the car appears to the camera when they join into the server after, well, when they join into to race after you did, if that makes any sense. You may have seen a big yellow blob going round the corner ahead of these cars, and that's what that was. It was simply because I believe that was Nuno Miguel Abreu, who joined the server later than me, but escaping and loading back in again repairs that, as we get a shot of a marshal's face for some weird reason. Now, oh my word, Clapado really does like to get a big amount of air over that last bump, as a lot of these guys have been doing. It is honestly unbelievable how much air they're getting over there. That is the most spectacular thing I've seen in this series yet, I think. Now, let's watch Vidimari on this lap. Of course, he is second at the moment, chasing down first place Tiziano Urbanati for pole position, and pole at this track is very important because it's a difficult track to overtake at. Not many corners, and even when they are corners, they are very long radius, mostly fast. I mean, turns 1 and 2 are the slower corners on the track, but even then, they are long, relatively long radius, and not very good for overtaking at. So, really, you have to rely on the car in front making an error. And that is why qualifying comes in very important here. Also, Bruno Gill just apologising to someone in the chat. I'm not entirely sure what that was all about or who he was apologising to. But anyway, that's happened. Obviously, there's been an incident between him and someone else on the track. Abreu, meanwhile, has put in his first fast lap at the moment, and that's put him into 13th position. But I'm sure that he can go quicker than that. I didn't see him on the practice server at all, so I'm wondering whether this is the first time he's driven this car at this track. But anyway, we'll see how he does later on in the meeting. Vidimari just exiting the final corner, and here's going to cross the line. And that was quicker. That was quicker than his personal best, which puts him within a tenth of a second of Tiziano Urbanati. But he hasn't managed to overtake Urbanati's pace just yet. Whoa, someone's going off ahead of him here, and that might have just distracted Vidimari slightly. Of course, you don't really have to pay attention to the yellow flags so much, so long as you are aware that there is an incident in the area. Clapano's going off in the background, and don't clobber any stationary cars, because that would definitely be seen as your fault if the yellows are out. But yellows are in here more for a warning than anything else, and they don't really get reviewed. Now let's see what this lap is from Vidimari. I believe he got slightly distracted by that car going off earlier, but no, it's not quicker. It's 3/10 down here. I've only just noticed I do get a sector time. Oh no, I only get a sector time review after the lap. Never mind. Okay. Mikkel Nizio. What? Oh, Mihai. I keep getting told off for calling him Mikkel. It's Mihai Nizio. Mihai Nizio is third at the minute. And as we approach the halfway point in the qualifying session, 15 minutes still to go. He is 0.178 off Tiziano Urbanati's pole time. Provisional pole time, I should say. So, the Rapid Racing driver through turn 1. Racing with the Falcon Porsche livery. Very iconic modern Porsche racing livery. The Falcon team, of course, do a lot of VLN and endurance racing such as that. But, of course, this isn't the Falcon team racing the Porsche today. This is the Rapid Racing team with Mihai Nizio behind the wheel. Need to get into the habit of saying that. Final corner of this lap, and it's very hard to tell if the laps are looking quick or not, because it's a very short lap. That was about a tenth of a second down. As Lee Blackmore types plus, etc., etc. Now, what about the top guys? The top 3 are all in the pits here, so that means the top guy on track at the moment is Alexis Clopano, but he's just on an 8 lap at the minute. What about Mark Robinson? He was top of the practice leaderboard before I came on earlier, and he has improved on his practice leaderboard time, but hasn't managed to go any faster than Clopano, Nizio, Vitamari or Ebenati just yet. I see yellows in the 3rd sector as well. I keep seeing these yellow indicators coming up, as we might get more here, as Robinson actually escapes just before he can embarrass himself by actually touching the barrier. Of course, the reason we have so many yellows on this track is because it is a very, very difficult circuit. There are people spinning off all over the place so far, and hopefully we don't get too many of those in the race. Of course, qualifying, they're really pushing for. So, we're watching Alexis Clopano. Slightly laggy, I'd say. That didn't look like a very real direction change there. So it's very difficult to tell exactly how he did that corner and how quick his lap's looking so far. But anyway, big air. I think Clopano's getting the biggest air of anyone over there. That might just be the setup of the car. He might have a much stiffer setup than everyone else, which just sort of launches his car over the bump. Well, if you can control it, why ever not? Well, I suppose you're not really getting the maximum traction off the ground, but hey, it's all about looking spectacular, isn't it? Onto another lap, slightly dodgy line through turn 1 there. That's always Alexander Neshkov's been off. Oh, and now Clopano's going to spin it at turn 2, so that run's been ruined. His tyres would have seen their life flash before their eyes there. Now Vidimari through turn 4 over the ramp. You see that not many people get as much air. Ooh, as Meshkov goes into the wall in the background. As much air as Clopano does. I am wondering whether that is the setup. That could just be a well, stiffer suspension, I'd say. Higher ride height, maybe. Any of those things could affect it. Less aero, possibly. But whatever, Clopano getting a lot of air over that bump, I've noticed, as a lot of the other guys are doing as well, but not quite to the same extent. As Vidimari comes through the middle sector of the circuit now. I hear crunch sound effects. That's never a good sign, but of course this is qualifying, so any crash can just kind of be, you can just escape back to the pits. You could see the tyres. Look on the left hand side of the screen there. The tyres from the barrier are rolling about, and as Vidimari goes even quicker than his best lap, and now goes into the wall, but still doesn't manage to go quicker than Urbanati. But anyway, as I was saying, those tyres from that tyre wall do, they are movable. They do come out, and they do roll about a bit. I'm wondering whether that's going to cause a bit of lag for some of these guys, but it's just amazing how realistic it looks, and well, definitely interesting. I've never seen it before in RFX 2 anyway. No quicker there for Miha Nizio. It's a difficult track to get right, I must say. Very short, so not much room, not much space for time to be gained at all. And of course, plenty of difficult corners, plenty of, well, there's one big jump in it as well. And that, of course, is difficult on both the setup and the driver, as Nizio just slowing to get some clean air, possibly. I see yellows up ahead. Someone's been off. There was that, I believe that was Kian Donaldson. I saw a name that looked a bit like Donaldson very briefly. Now across the line to start another lap goes Michał Nitsio. Of course, any of these, I'd say the top 7 guys could just snatch pole here. They just need a slightly quicker lap than one they've already set, and then they can just, and then, well, they might well have it. Of course, it is difficult to gain time around such a short circuit, but it's important to do so, of course, for your grid position. I'm just stating the obvious there. Now, what can Nitsio do in the final sector, the final corner? Keeps it within the lines and off the grass. That's what you're supposed to do. If you get on the grass, you lose a lot of traction there. And across the line, well, it was a quicker first sector, but the lap as a whole is 7 thousandths of a second down. So Nitsio not going any quicker with that lap. Who else is on track? Oh, Urbanati is back out now. Of course, he has the quickest lap of the session so far, as someone's been off in the second sector again. Of course, Urbanati's laps so far are 49.323, which is a lot quicker than we saw on the practice server. But Urbanati's... no, what am I saying? I'm getting Urbanati and Vidamari confused, never mind. Urbanati runs wide on the exit of the final corner, and that's not going to be a quicker lap from him there, but he gets another shot at it, of course. Still, 7 minutes... Oh, as Urbanati dips a wheel into the grass and spins it round, so that's that run over. Still 7 minutes of this session remaining, and the order so far is Urbanati, Vidamari, Nitsio, Clapano, Wach, Abreu, Lee, Robinson, Alves, Reveda, Gill, Serpent, Donaldson, Meshkov, Davison, and Blackmore. And I tell you what, Nuno Miguel Abreu has gained plenty of places to move up to 6th position now. So Abreu really finding his feet on this track now. In 6th position, just behind Tomasz Wach, our championship leader, and ahead of Dan Lee. And now I'd say the pole position is between any of these top 8 guys. It could go any way. The top 8 guys, of course, separated by less than half a second. But of course, anyone can pull something out of the bag. And I still think we haven't seen the quickest lap of the session yet. Over the bump goes Michał Nitsio. Over the bump even more goes Stefan Reveda in the background. Samuel Reveda. I don't know why I thought his name was Stefan for a brief second. Runs over the grass, does Nitsio, so this isn't going to be a quicker lap from him. Ooh, into the barrier, and you saw the tyres moving briefly there. So, Nitsio, unfortunately, throws away that stint and has to go out for another, but of course, you can keep doing that in qualifying as many times as you like. And Urbanati is going to go off again, so Urbanati having to abandon that run like the others. What about Alexis Clapano? He's still on track here, and I think he's on an out lap maybe? He certainly appeared to be moving a little bit slowly through that. But he's certainly gearing up for a quick lap if he's not already on one. So I think it might have just been the camera showing him going slowly, the kind of camera position, as Mark Robinson meanwhile has put in a quicker lap than his best and moved up into 6th position. So Robinson demotes Nuno Miguel Abreu. Oh, someone's going off. Was that Alexander Meshkov there? I'm not entirely sure. Also, Urbanati appears to be waiting at pit exit, which is interesting. Possibly just trying to get some clean air. He's on track now. I can see on the car tracker on the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Clapano's replay, or just Clapano's car does seem to be very kind of glitchy and laggy through turns 2 and 3. The turn-in animation almost doesn't seem quite right there. And that's led me to wonder whether he's getting quite so much air as it looks over the jump. Maybe it's just a little bit of a camera glitch or something like that, which keeps reoccurring. But anyway, Turn 1, again, double apexed. You see Clipano pumping the throttle slightly. Possibly just having a brief change of mind mid-corner. We see that sometimes. I've done it plenty of times. And there you see what I mean. The way that the car just seems to kind of snap into turn 3. And now just snaps off the road and he's going to spin that. Yeah, that's gone around. But I'm just wondering whether there's a slight bit of lag in play. It doesn't really seem to be lagging. Maybe just a sort of animation which can't quite get it right. Anyway, Michał Nitsio is in 3rd place at the moment. We haven't actually been seeing many times at the top of the order falling, so I'm wondering whether the track temperature's dropped a bit or something like that. Or maybe these guys are just getting a bit sort of carried away at the moment of losing concentration. But not many opportunities left to improve their laps, of course, because the time, of course, has ticked down to almost just 2 minutes left. Whew, Vidamari's lap was close to his best there, but still off by less than half a tenth, though. Almost a quarter of a tenth of a second. He had a slight kick through turn 1, so I don't think that this lap is going to be a particularly good one from Vidamari, because on a track this short, all you need is a slight mistake or a slight imperfection on your lap, and well, then that lap's not exactly going to be your best, because you get so many laps and so many opportunities to go quicker, that if you don't on any of your laps, or if you make an error on any of your laps, that lap's certainly not going to be the quickest, as you see Urbanati emerging from the pits again, just to sort of secure his pole position if he can by going even quicker. He sees that Vidamari is less than a tenth of a second behind him in terms of lap time, but Vidamari is getting held up slightly by Alexander Meshkov, who moves out of the way here. And there's really not much time left in the session. We're ticking into the final minute almost. And what can Daniele Vidamari do? Or will pole position go to any of the guys behind him? Michał Nitsio, Alexis Clipano, Jorge Alves, Thomas Wach, Mark Robinson, Nuno Miguel Abreu, Dan Lee. They're all within half a second. And Tiziano Urbanati, of course, is leading the lot of them. The top 9 drivers within half a second of the leader. And Vidamari is not going to get another chance. He just crossed the line. Nitsio goes to the top. Nitsio goes to the top on his lap. What can Urbanati do about that? So Nitsio's gone to the top out of nowhere. He was 3rd position, 0.2 of a second down. Now he's gone to the top of the order. And that might well be pole position, because no one is going to get more than one more attempt at this pole position time. As Bruno Gil now moves up ahead of Dan Lee again. So Bruno Gil, the top 10 drivers are now within half a second of each other. This is thrilling. What an amazing end to the qualifying session. And Urbanati is coming out to the final corner here. What's his lap? It's not quicker. Urbanati has not gone quicker. He knows he's lost the pole position. And who can go quicker than the lap? Tom Blackmore is going... Lee Blackmore, rather. No, Tom Davison, rather, is going to be the next guy to cross the line just ahead of Bruno Gil. Can any of these guys go quicker than their lap? Bruno Gil could be a contender for pole here, but he's getting held up by Tom Davison. So I'm not entirely sure whether that's going to be the case. Although, let's see as we cross the line. Oh, Gil goes to 5th, so that was an improvement from Gil. He goes to 5th position right at the end, but it's pole position for Michał Nitsio. So Nitsio leads them around with a 49.308. Amazing lap from Michał Nitsio, and that is ahead of Tiziano Urbanati, Daniele Vidamari, Alexis Clipano, Bruno Gil, Jorge Alves, Tomasz Wach, our championship leader, only 7th, but 0.2 of a second off the leader. That must be so frustrating for our championship leader, and that's dramatic in terms of the championship. And following him is Robinson, Abreu, Lee, Raveda, Serpent, Donaldson, Meshkov, Davison, and Blackmore. So that was the order. Amazing lap from Miha Nizio. And now, well, Nizio is back in style after falling asleep last time around. Last time gave a new depth to the saying, "You snooze, you lose," as Nizio lost the lead of the championship and went down to 5th in the order by missing the 2 races. But he's back again now, and well, he's on pole, so he's back with a vengeance. And what can anyone do about him? I'm going to take a brief break now, 4 minutes 30 until this brief warm-up session ends, and then I will be back with the actual race. First of 2. Okie dokie, so we're back for the first of the two races. Both will be half, well, I don't know why I mean half and anything. It's 30 laps. 30 laps of the Lime Rock Park circuit in America. And the drivers have to make it out. Here we go, yeah, I was about to say in the next 10 seconds, so I'm glad to see Nizio on the grid. Hopefully everyone does make it out. And the formation lap begins now. So again, it's Nizio on pole, followed by Tiziano Urbanati, Daniele Vitamari, Alexis Clapano, Bruno Gill. Why did I say David? Also, I'm interested to see that Alexis Clapano appears to have requested pit. I'm wondering whether he's just tried to set up his pit early. Anyway, then it's Bruno Gill, Jorge Alves, Thomas Wach, Mark Robinson, Nuno Miguel Abreu, Dan Lee, Stefan, why do I keep calling him Stefan? Samuel Reveda, Steve Serpent, Kian Donaldson, Alexander Meshkov, Tom Davison, and Lee Blackmore rounding out the field. So that is the order. And it's going to be a very short formation lap here as we head to the main grid. So it's going to be Michał Nizio lining up in first position here, ahead of Tiziano Urbanati, just warming up the tyres and about to get this race underway. So Nizio lines up first. Urbanati is going to line up in second position. There he is. Just trying to find a camera view which would show the lights, but anyway, what if I do... Ugh. I can't see the lights. Okay, well, never mind. If I switch to this, oh, no, never mind. Okay, wait until you hear it start. Go! The race is underway! Michał Nizio leads us into turn 1, followed by Daniele Vitamari, who's made a great start and has actually got past Urbanati. Will he keep it around the outside here? He's not been able to, although he will have the inside of the next corner if he can hold it there. He hasn't been able to, and now Abreu is right on him as well. So Abreu going for third position. Has anyone dropped behind? I don't believe there have been any incidents. So it's been a clean start. Good to see that. And it's Nizio leading from Urbanati, Vidamari, Abreu and Clapano. Those are the top 5 in this order. Now watch everyone launch over this. Oh, bump! Oh dear, Jorge Alves is off. Alves is our first casualty. It looks as if he was going to get sideways, or it looks as if he made contact with someone. Lee Blackmore's going off as well. He's taking the additional chicane there. And it looks as if Alves made slight contact with another driver. Dan Lee's out, so Dan Lee unfortunately is our first retirement. And maybe it was Lee who made contact with Jorge Alves there. So after lap 1, it's Nizio leading from... Oh, as Urbanati and Vidamari I saw were fighting on the leaderboard. They went side by side through turn 1 and possibly changed position. Now Abreu just gets underneath Vidamari as we head up into the second sector of the circuit, and that's a good move from Nuno Miguel Abreu to move himself up into third position. What can Urbanati do about Nizio? Can he slipstream him down the start-finish straight? It's a very short straight, so there's not much opportunity for that. But he's certainly... Let's see how close he can get. He's in the slipstream, but of course doesn't manage to get very close to Nizio. Well, he's within 3/10 of him, so that's close enough to be considered a battle, I'd say. Let's keep our eyes on this lead battle here between Nizio and Urbanati. This is for P1 in this first of 2 races. Of course, the second race will be a complete reversed grid, meaning that the guys who finished at the back will start at the front, and the guys who finished at the front will start at the back, which should get interesting. There's another crash. Off goes Bruno Gill. He's one of them. Alexis Clapano is also off. He's lost his rear wing. Will he even be able to continue? Gill continues, and Clapano does continue, but he has lost his rear wing, so he's going to have to be very careful returning to this pit, the pits, and he's going to have to make sure that he does pit, because otherwise that car is going to be completely undrivable. It's still Nizio leading from Urbanati. The gap was just 0.3 of a second on that lap, so really not much room between them at all. And and Abreu has run over the grass in the background, possibly taking a bit of a weird line, finding Urbanati suddenly is in his path, and now Vidamari gets through. Whoa, Abreu gets very squirrely over the jump and goes onto the grass, and that could have been much, much worse from Nuno Miguel Abreu there, as Vidamari, Nizio really is getting away now. The gap is out to over a second for the first time. And now, really, as Clapano exits the pits right in front of them. Is Abreu going off? He is! He's on the grass! Travelling sideways, he's had to lock up the brakes, and he has spun. Can he get it going again? Oh, more crashes. Tom Davison is off. He'd made his way right up the field. Oh, no, he hadn't. He was a lap down. Oh, was he? Where was he running? I'm not entirely sure where he was running, but Davison gets going right near the back, I'm afraid. Yeah, he was running right the way up the order. So he'd made up quite a few positions at the start, and Abreu drops to 13th position, unfortunately. There must have been an incident with Alexander Meshkov as well, because he's dropped far behind here. As still Nizio leads, 5 laps in, and the gap again is out to over a second. And it's about Vidamari catching Urbanati now. Can he catch him in time? There's been a move for... Well, there's been a couple of moves. I believe that Serpent just passed Robinson. And can Robinson get him back on the exit? Not quite. The gap for the lead again has come down to less than a second. So there is still a battle going on out front between these top 3 guys who are all very, very close here. Incidentally, our championship leader, Thomas Walk, is up into 4th position now. So a good start from him. He's made up 3 positions so far in this race, and that's good for his championship. Let's see if he can pull himself into the podium positions here. As running wide over the grass in the background was Daniele Vidamari slightly. As Abreu has already got past Lee Blackmore. Let's go and let's see how they're doing. Actually, Blackmore's moving slowly. Why is that? He's just oh dear, he's lost his front bumper. So there's been an incident involving Lee Blackmore there, and he unfortunately is having to pit the car, and that's going to cost him a lot of places here. And Mark Robinson's had a spin. He's moving slowly, so Robinson has been involved in an incident, I think. I'm not entirely sure there, but it looks as if he has. Stephen Gill fighting over 6th position, and again the gap for the lead comes down to 0.9 of a second now. So again, it's within a second, and this is still one to watch. They just can't see the end. Well, Nizio just can't see the end of Urbanati behind him, of course. Has to keep pushing if he wants to maintain this lead, but it's coming down again, 0.8 of a second. So Urbanati hunting down Neha Nizio at the front of the order, and it's 0.6 of a second. He is coming like Jaws. Let's watch Urbanati as he gets into the slipstream. How close can he get to our race leader down this straight here? 0.5 of a second, half a second now. It'll probably come out slightly in the first sector due to the dirty air, but it'll come down again in the second and third sectors. Slight weave from Urbanati there. This is tense. This is very tense. What's the next sector time? That's what I'm watching. Where is the end of the first sector? 0.6 of a second. I said it would come out slightly. And now, what are the sector times for the rest of the lap going to be like? We're going to cross the line now, and it's going to be 0.8 of a second. So it came out in that sector as well. That's surprising. it appears that what's happening is that Urbanati is reeling in the gap, and then he's just getting too close. And with the dirty air dropping back again, and then he's catching up when he finds himself in relative clean air, and then he's dropping back again. I've seen this happening a lot before at tracks where it is very difficult to overtake. 0.7 of a second, so it's come down by 1/10. But of course, when they're running this closely on track, all it takes is for one mistake to occur from the car ahead, Michal Nizio, and then it's all over for the lead. So Urbanati just needs to keep piling on the pressure and stay with him in case there is a problem. And now we are 11 laps into the race as Davidson has got past Alves. And the order, as Abreu is also past Alves, so maybe Alves dropping a couple of positions there. The order is Nizio, Urbanati, Vidamari, Woch, Riveda. Except now, Bruno Gil has got back past Riveda, and that's interesting, seeing as we saw Gil having a spin earlier on. So Gil's getting quite a few positions back, and that's good running from Bruno Gil. And where's Riveda gone? Riveda's dropped a couple of positions. Maybe he had some sort of spin, or at least a big mistake. Certainly looks like it, as we head back to the front of the order and back to this battle for the lead between Nizio and Urbanati. As we cross the line, 0.8 of a second again, almost dead on. Slight lock-up from Urbanati. That will be with the dirty air of the car in front, of course. We're also catching a bit of traffic up ahead. I see Alexander Meshkov's car coming up. Actually, I think the next one on track will be Kian Donaldson. So that could get a bit tense. 0.5 of a second. So the gap again, just half a second. Now, will it keep coming down, or will it go out again due to the dirty air? Well, it's already gone out by 1/10. So it's 0.6 now. And we have yellows in the first sector. Who's had an off? That will be Lee Blackmore. So Blackmore's had an off there. That looks to be at turn 1. And he's pulling out of the way of the leaders now as well. He's had a bit of a torrid race so far, running in 15th position, which does mean that if he finishes the race, he'll score a point. Anyone who finishes this race now will score a point, seeing as there's a car out of the race, Dan Lee, and he was our 16th entry, because of course the top 15 score points. Blackmore's out, so Blackmore will not be scoring points here. He is out of the race, and that's a big shame. So Lee Blackmore is not going to be scoring any points here, and there must have been serious damage on the car in that case. Now, 9th position has stopped moving. That would be Mark Robinson. And why is that? He's had a spin, has he? Possibly. He's certainly dropped back a bit. He's now in 11th. He was in 9th. And I saw on the bottom left of the screen that he had briefly stopped moving. 0.6 of a second is the gap for the lead. Vidamari dropping back slightly. So Vidamari is about 1.3 seconds now behind Tiziano Urbanati. Oh, as Urbanati gets a kick of oversteer just as he's about to head onto the jump. That must make your heart race. And Urbanati certainly got very close to losing it entirely there. And that's not going to help his chase on Michal Nizio. But we do have backmarkers coming up. And if they don't play nicely, and we hope they do, then the gap could come right back down again. So let's see how the backmarkers do get out of the way. That seemed to be a long time actually before Donaldson did pull over, but it was a difficult sector part of the track to pull over on. And of course these guys that we're lapping now are in battles of their own, so they don't really want to lose too much time in giving the places up. The gap now is 0.6 of a second, and all of it takes is for one of these guys to be slightly unwieldy, and Nizio will be forced right back towards Urbanati in second. We're at the halfway stage in this race now, and still Michal Nizio is our leader, and that's a good place to get out of the way there for Alexander Meshkov. But the gap is 0.4 of a second. It's under half a second here. It's almost half a second, but it's under half a second. If you rounded it up, it would be half a second. But there is a proper battle going on here between Nizio and Urbanati for the lead of the race. Now it's come down even closer. Urbanati is really trying to stick with Nizio here. And he might well have a go at him down into turn 1 next time around. Vidimari gets slightly over the dirt. It's come out slightly to half a second. Here's the final corner, and Urbanati again will be in the slipstream. Just dragging himself closer. Of course, the slipstream being the column of air behind the car in front, which is slightly thinner due to the car in front smashing through it effectively. And you can use the car in front as a wind block in those situations to just sort of drag your way along. It's also referred to as the tow because it acts like a tow hook, really, just pulling along the car behind. And that's what Urbanati wanted to tuck into, and it's worked because he's again within half a second of Nizio up ahead. We have a full-on battle for the lead here, and again it's come out to over half a second in that sector with the dirty air. I told you it would be difficult to follow or pass a car in this race, and that's certainly proven to be the case so far, as Clopano now has got past Donaldson for 13th position, and Urbanati is still incredibly close to Michal Nizio up ahead of him. Again, it's less than half a second the gap. But of course, still very difficult to follow the car ahead, especially in this second sector with all of the high-speed corners. You need the aerodynamic downforce on the car, and you don't get that. You don't get that from the when you're following a car in front, and that makes it very difficult to actually stick with the car in front, and even more difficult to make a move. Incidentally, Robinson just got into the top 10 by passing Jorge Alves. Alves, of course, demoted to 11th now, and has already lost a bit of time, and I just saw yellow, so I'm wondering whether Alves had a slight spin or something of that kind. And Nizio again is meeting traffic. That is Alves there. So Alves getting the blue flags. You saw the blue flag pop into the marshal's hand there, and that means get out of the way. There's a driver on a quicker or on a higher lap behind you, and now Nizio does pass, but the gap came down by 0.2. Alves being wiser than to get between the two of them and lets Urbanati through in at the same time. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. So good from Alves there. Now we're in the second sector of the track, and Clopano has just got past Meshkov again. Of course, those two are already a lap down, and everyone but the top 10 drivers are now lapped to our race leader Michal Nizio, and I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the race we have about only the top 7 on the lead lap, maybe. Looking at the order, that wouldn't be unlikely. Oh, mistake from Nizio. He touched the grass on the inside of turn 1, and Urbanati is right on his tail now. Can he get his car to the inside? Not quite. So Nizio gets away with it this time. Urbanati's again going to have to settle for that position, but the gap was only 0.2 of a second, so that was very close. And Nizio very nearly threw away the lead of the race there. That was one of the most dramatic moments I've seen so far in this very tense battle, and that's what Urbanati is hoping to do, to force Nizio into another mistake and just let him keep making these mistakes. Also, Keir Donaldson's in the wall, so Donaldson is in the barrier, and does he retire from the race? He's put the car in reverse. He's just waiting for everyone to go through so he doesn't clobber anyone. Well, getting the car going again. But if you look at the screen on the bottom left side of the order, there isn't much clean track, and Donaldson is losing a lot of time here. Can he get the car going? He's tinkering over it. He's in gear 1 now, still waiting for some clean air, but he's not going to get any, so he needs to do it all on the grass, I'd say, and then just rejoin the circuit after that. He's going for it. Go. Yes. Yeah, that's a good thing from Donaldson, the fact that he waited. And he now gets it going, but he's lost about, well, almost 3 laps there. Oh, he's lost his front left wheel. That'll explain why it was so difficult to get going. Because Donaldson has lost his front left wheel. He's been into the wall hard. And hopefully they can repair that in time for him to finish the race. But he's certainly going to finish last, I'd say, as we look back at this battle for the lead. Really not much opportunity left for it to change. We're 23 laps into the 30-lap race. And it's still Nizio from Urbanati, Vidimari, Wach, Gill, Serpent, Abreu, Riveta, Davison and Robinson. Those are the top 10 and all of the drivers on the lead lap here. But the real focus is still on the battle for the lead, as it has been for basically the entire race. Urbanati will be getting so frustrated here. And let's hope he doesn't get so frustrated as to pull a stupid move, because those late last-minute dive bombs are the worst kind of overtake, definitely, and we don't want to see anyone getting taken out in that way. Nizio just has to keep his car on the inside line, as he did there, and Urbanati just can't get his car alongside him. It is a very difficult track to pass at, as is being demonstrated. But Urbanati is so close and has been for so long. Abreu's off. Is it Abreu? No. Well, someone's been off, and quite a high-placed car as well. I believe it was Abreu, because he's lost a place to Samuel Riveda. Oh, and Meshkov's missing the majority of the front end of his car. So I wonder if he was involved in that accident. Oh, as Abreu is also missing the front end of his car, so that proves that he has been in some sort of accident. And now, Urbanati is looking closer than ever to the back of Michal Nizio, but still doesn't manage to get himself close enough. 5 laps remaining in this race, and this bunch, well, these two at the front of the order, still inseparable. But all it'll take is for one mistake for either of these guys, and that's race over, and well, win over. Any slight mistake will gift the win to the other guy, I shouldn't wonder. Urbanati less so than Nizio, but Nizio, Urbanati still has to be very careful, of course, because I don't think he'll have the time to gain back on Nizio if there is an error. He's going to the outside here, but he's not going to be able to get himself alongside again. 4 laps remaining. We are on lap 25 of the race here. It says lap 26 at the top, but going by the game, it's lap 25. And Urbanati is still having to follow. Incidentally, our championship leader, Thomas Walsh, still is in 4th position, and he is almost 10 seconds behind this leading duo. So not the ideal race for our championship leader, but still solid points for 4th position. But it's this race, of course, between Nizio and Urbanati out front. Urbanati still chasing down Nizio. Nizio has a bit of traffic up ahead. That's Mark Robinson. And with not long in the race remaining, there is certainly not much chance left for Urbanati. It really does come down to whether Nizio makes a big error or not, or whether he gets really badly held up by this traffic ahead of him. Could happen to anyone. Benatti in the slipstream again, but he's just not going to get close enough. He's trying to force Nizio to go defensive just so he can, so Nizio has a higher risk factor as Robinson gets out of the way of both of them. The gap instantly was under 0.2 of a second for the very first time in this race, probably since the formation lap. And even then, I don't think they were ever that close. On the grid, maybe. But then again, you're stationary, so time is irrelevant then. The next driver on track to lap for these two will be Alexander Meshkov again, with the heavily damaged front end. As I can confirm, looking at the order, that Cian Donaldson is back out on track. So Donaldson, despite losing a wheel, is going to finish this race, and that's good for the points. Of course, he's missed several rounds, so he's down on points in this championship. But I suppose if you can finish a race, do, because then, of course, Donaldson will get the reverse grid pole. And that means he could be in for a good shot at a good result in race 2 here, and he knows that. Meshkov just gets out of the way nicely over the inside curb. And we are on almost the final lap of the race. The next lap will be the final one, I think. It always confuses me when the overlay and the board, the tower on the left hand side of the screen are showing different laps. You'll notice that they are. But this is indeed the last lap now. The game confirms. So, oh, Nizio had Urbanati had an attack at Nizio that had a swipe at the rear end, locked up and went straight on. And I think that is his last chance at making that move gone. So I think that so long as there are no last lap mistakes from Michal Nizio, that is the race over. And Nizio is going to win it so long as he can keep it on the road. It's going to be a very, very close finish, of course. But there's not enough of a straight to slipstream your way past for Tiziano Urbanati. I don't think, anyway. And let's watch Michal Nizio as he exits the final corner. He was championship leader before last time out, and he is now going to cross the line just ahead of Tiziano Urbanati. What's the gap? That was incredibly close. It was 0.122. That was the closest it had been all race. And now Urbanati makes the move off the circuit. But what a battle we just witnessed. Vidamari is fourth. Vidamari is third. Work is fourth. Gill is fifth. Sixth is Steve Serpent. He is going to cross the line now. And then it's going to be Samuel Roveda in seventh, already finished and a lap down, were Nuno Megalabreu, Jorge Alves, Mark Robinson, Tom Davison, Alexis Clapano, Alexander Meshkov and Cian Donaldson. And well done to Donaldson for finishing this race. And then unfortunately out of the race were Lee Blackmore and Dan Lee, as now Samuel Roveda is going to finish the race. And what a finish we saw at the front of the order there, with the gap for the lead being less than 1.5 tenths of a second. And look at Nizio celebrating. He knows he did brilliantly to hang on to that. What a race. And Urbanati just couldn't find a way past. Anyway, we're just going to take a brief break and then be right back for race 2. Fully reversed grid, so expect fireworks.
watching good, the whole night.
Now, the drivers are lining up on the grid again for the start of race 2. Incidentally, we've just seen a message from the radio Oh my word, what was my microphone doing that quiet? I do apologise. I hope you could hear me throughout that whole thing. And now we're just waiting for the interviews. Oh, it looks as if Michal Nitsio is a bit bitter about what happened in that race. He says that well, he's tweeted pictures of yellow flags and then a circled brake pedal. So I think I think that we all know what he's indicating at there. Although I don't think there was much that Cian Donaldson could have done about it, because Nitsio really did spin into his path then. But of course, it's always difficult, because of course you could say that he wasn't going well, you could say that he was going too quickly there. And we have our first driver in the interview booth now. Hello, Nuno Miguel Abreu.
Hey everyone again.
So Nuno, you well obviously had a great race 2, but how did race 1 go to start off with?
Well, race 1 started pretty well. I got a very good start, and I think I was battling for third place or second. And then in the long straight, the Windows update just popped up, and I had to turn it off. And when I looked at the brake marks, I was already way far from the optimal spot, so I spun and got into the grass and turned off the Windows update and got back to track.
Well, big shame, but you made up for it in race 2. Tell me about that.
Well, race 2 was again a very good start, and then I was trying to pass. I think it was 12. And after that, I just opened the gap so I could be more relaxed at the end.
And well, you certainly did start to drop back quite considerably at the end of the race. Were you a bit worried by how much time you were losing, or was that all just strategic, not trying to make any mistakes?
Well, it was not strategic, and but I was not worried because I had a very large gap. It's just I was trying to beat the fastest lap, and then I hit the wall at turn 4 or 5, I think, and the car got a little bit slower.
Oh, so it was a little incident you had.
Sorry?
So it was a little incident you had then.
Yeah.
Well, at least you managed to hold on to that victory for your So that was jolly good. So anyway, we also now have a Cian Donaldson possibly, but he's in the wrong chat. I'll have to tell him that.
Well, see you next time, mate.
Yeah, see you next time, Nuno. We're just waiting for another interview. Come on, Cian, you're in the wrong channel. Hello, Cian. Right, you're in the right channel now. Hello.
Hi, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, very good. So, I must say that looked a little bit disappointed. I remember the first time I saw you in race 1, you were sitting up against the barrier, trying to grab reverse and not finding any way back onto the track, and then when you spun the car back round again, I noticed you only had 3 wheels. Tell us about that.
Well, basically, because of the lack of grip, I understeered straight into the barrier. And then I decided it's my safest option. Don't want to ruin anyone else's race. Mine's pretty much out the window. Just need to drive it home. So I just stuck it in reverse, reversed out. Only realised I had 3 wheels when I came into the pit lane. And yeah, it was pretty much competition over that race.
I'm afraid so, and of course, because you didn't complete enough laps, that meant you weren't classified, so you didn't even get the reverse grid pole. But you were actually running quite high up the order at the start of race 2, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a quite promising start. I didn't have the pace to compete with the other guys, but I'd say probably middle pack was what I was running until about, is it lap 7, lap 8? Somewhere around there.
Jolly good, but then I'm afraid we all saw what happened. I can imagine that your pants turned a different colour as soon as you saw that spinning Mejanitzio entering your path.
Oh yeah, I saw that Mikkel was span, and I thought he was going to turn the car in the other direction, so I just expected him to keep off the line, and then sadly just went straight into the racing line. I had nowhere to go.
Well, it's a shame, but I can imagine that that was still rather enjoyable while it lasted. Anyway, thanks for the interview. I don't think we have anyone else coming in, so I think I'll just end the broadcast there. So anyway, to anyone who did tune in, we were live on Twitch and YouTube, and we thank you for tuning in, and we will be live next week at the same time. I don't know if there is going to be a commentator or not. I can't make the next one due to commitments with Sim Racing Malta. I will be back for the season finale in 2 weeks' time, but seeing as I won't be here for the final round, or the next round rather, which will be at Mid-Ohio on the 23rd of February, so a week from now, I hope that it goes well, and I will see you when we go to Virginia International Raceway on the 2nd of March. So I will see you then.